What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Eclectic Beard. So in this go around, we'll be looking at 10 things Americans think all British people do. I'll be honest with you, before I started doing the reactions to history, comedy, and the culture that's over there, I just thought everybody over there was posh and talked with a really proper accent and probably drink and I thought y'all drank tea all day. Now I know not all British people drink tea, but that's I think what most Americans associate. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into this.
What culture?
I'm not sure if it's immediately obvious from my accent, but I am a British person. Now, there are a lot of British stereotypes out there held by American folk, and some of them are true. Look at me, I'm slightly posh, sarcastic, and I hate you. However, speaking as a native Brit, I'm here to dispel a few of the commonly held misconceptions about the Great...
And like the absolute deadpan, driest sense of humor possible, like sands of the desert dry sarcasm. Which, to be honest with you, is one of the stereotypes that kind of made me just like, yeah, I want to know more about these folks because I love dry sarcasm and deadpan humor.
British public.
Hello.
I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 things Americans think all British people do. Number 10, we drink tea. Brits are as famous for being tea sippers as they are for breaking into fits of prudish tears at the sight of a slightly phallic sausage. And sure, tea is a common social lubricant, something to offer when people come over, but I hate tea. Most people I know don't drink it, and if anything, Brits are far more likely to ape their American cousins and develop an unhealthy addiction to coffee. Costas and Starbucks are everywhere in Britain, but dedicated tea houses, not so much. Number 9, we like to queue. I'm British, I know how to queue, says Martin Freeman in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is, weirdly, a stereotype that says a lot more about the accuser than the accusee. Brits don't think about queuing. We don't pride ourselves on it, we don't relish the opportunity to do it, we just don't kick up.
Such straight lines y'all got there, though. Here it'd be like 4 people wide and people trying to like, oh yeah, that's my buddy, he's holding my spot, and it's just a friend that, you know, they're random acquaintances and they see him, just walk up to him and that's now their spot in the line.
Up a fuss about it. Maybe we're slightly more patient, maybe our spirits are broken from living in places like Milton Keynes, but it says more about everyone else's inability to wait patiently, that they think that just because we do, that we rate it as part of our national identity. Number 8, we speak like the Queen. Okay, I'm not the best person to decry this particular cultural archetype, but we ain't all posh like a Madge. Sure, our Prime Minister is so posh that he once put his dick in a pig's mouth, but we don't all follow in his well-bred footsteps.
Yeah, I've had some of y'all, I've talked to some of y'all, I've had some of y'all send me y'all's, talking y'all's accent and everything, which if y'all still want to do that, like you hit my Instagram, just hit me up and send me a voice recording of your accent. I've got a couple videos of that on the channel, but yeah, I've heard some of y'all talking. Yeah, no, it's not all posh, that's for sure.
Heightened RP is scarcely heard in Britain anymore amidst all the Cockneys, Geordies, Scousers, Manx, Mackhams, Brummies and Ouija's. Know what all those are? Cool, moving on. Number 7, we send all our kids to posh schools. Again, one of the problems with most of our top-ranking government officials being from the tougher end of the privilege spectrum is that it creates this perception of British parents as the cruel sort banishing their sprogs to Eton, whereas huge swathes of the public go to state schools, all of which are served by headmasters and teachers who go beyond the pale to try and give kids a proper future. I mean, sure, here's a picture of my school in Jersey, but again, this isn't about me, people. Number 6, we obsess over the royals. Okay, this one's harder to deny, considering that in the past
that
few years,
runs
the British
both
public
ways.
have
People
humiliated
that
ourselves at the royal
obsess
wedding, embarrassed
in
ourselves
a good
at
way,
the
and
royal
then people
birth,
that
and
just
snivelled in deference
obsess
at
in
the
horrible
Queen's
ways.
Jubilee. But
Like,
other than that,
hate
try to
them.
believe me when I say that most of us really don't care that much about the royals. Our newspapers are sickeningly deferential to Her Royal Madge and her brood of big tooth relations, but A,
Big
so is the
tooth
media
relations.
in America, and B, the vast majority of the general public are too busy being ground down by our everyday lives to give half a crap about the rich lady and her magic house. Number 5, we live in London, or on a postcard. Here
That's the one thing I got to say. Everybody in the U.S. pretty well associates England and British people with London. Like, there's no places outside of that. London is England.
Here are the 2 places that people think British people live. The cosmopolitan heart of the country, London, or an English country garden in Buckinghamshire. Sorry to dispel the romance, but here is Hull, this is Slough, step right up Milton Keynes, and how are you doing Leeds? There's a lot of grey area between the extremes of the big smoke and bucks, and I emphasise the word grey. Number 4, we eat awful food. Why does everyone think we eat steak and kidney pie for breakfast, lunch and dinner? Jamie Oliver, Tom Kerridge, the Hairy Bikers, British Bake Off, Gordon Ramsay, Heston Blumenthal. We have a huge global presence as great cooks.
See, but that's only 5 people in your country that know how to cook. That's not saying anything for the other 60-something million. Just throwing that out there. So we might see them and be like, oh yeah, I'd like to try their food. We see them cook on American type shows and stuff like that more than we, have tasted any of y'all's food. So we're not going to associate y'all's, them with y'all's cuisine. Just not. Yeah.
Constantly reinventing British cuisine. So go yourself, everybody. Number 3, we maintain a stiff upper lip. Apparently a lot of people think that the Brits are still living in Victorian times, that even the act of wry smiling would break our faces wide open. Truth is, lots of the British are reserved, but believe me when I say this, the Jeremy Kyle show tells a very different story, and as anyone who's
is that y'all's Jerry Springer?
On a Friday can tell you, lots of the British people are the shrieking, bellowing, vomiting type. Number 2, we go to the pub all the time. Okay, look, I know I just made the last point, but go with me here. A newer British stereotype that has risen to the fore in recent years is that we're all alcoholics. To be honest,
okay, look, I'm just going to say this. Not going to say y'all are alcoholics because that's a stretch of the imagination. However, a lot of the folks I talk to in my community, pubs are a big thing. Having a drink or 3, that's another thing. Granted, not all of y'all are like just getting absolutely totally wasted all the time, but yeah, y'all talk about pubs quite often.
All the things on the list, it's probably the most accurate. The drinking culture in Great Britain is a teeny bit of a problem. But, it's not all centred in the pub at least. Not when you can buy 6 cans for $5 and drink them in the park. Number 1, we all have bad teeth. I'm just going to put this picture of Austin Powers here. So, yes, I've got gigantic teeth, but they're damn straight, thank you very much. It's been a popular gag across the pond that people from the UK...
I'm just going to say this. He put up that picture of himself and he got like he got xylophone mouth. Like, those are some big old teeth. You can tink, 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 tink. But Austin Powers down there does too. Like, you tink, 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 tink on his teeth as well.
UK have awful teeth. Well, it turns out that not only is that not true, but according to a study published last year in the British Medical Journal conducted by equal parts British and American dentists, the UK on average has significantly higher dental hygiene than the US, with fewer stains, fewer cases of gum disease, and fewer missing teeth.
Because here, dentistry costs an arm and a frickin' leg, and maybe even your firstborn thrown in for good measure.
Ha! Suck it, Uncle Sam, you and your false rotting dentures. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments.
Alright, so there we have it. 10 things Americans think all British people do. This is interesting because, like I said, for me personally, going into reacting to British stuff, posh, London, and yeah, that and drinking tea. That's the main things. I was like, yeah, some of these is interesting. I've heard the bad teeth one though. I've heard the bad teeth one, and I'm like, bro, I live in the spot. It's called Macedonia. Hardly anybody here has teeth. Have you been to Appalachia? Like, a lot of folks there have no teeth. They're like 3 teeth total. Of course, sometimes I wonder if the amount of teeth that they have correlates to the amount of fingers or toes that they have, because you'll see somebody with like 5 teeth and only 5 fingers, like 3 on one hand, 2 on the other. Didn't take care of the teeth and got into a sawmill accident. I don't know. Crazy correlations happening there. Maybe I'm just, conspiracy theorying here. Anyways, but some of these, like the obsessing over the royals, sending the kids to posh schools. That's not something I ever took and thought, but I've heard it. I could see where it might be a stereotype. I didn't even know about the queuing thing until I started reacting to y'all stuff. But some of this is pretty. This was pretty funny. I like this one. I say funny. It was interesting. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.